Looking. Here's Clark. She fires and goes! She hit it!
Lexi Brown of the Los Angeles Sparks was blindsided when she heard about Ice Cube's jaw-dropping offer to Caitlin Clark, an offer that rivals NBA salaries. Brown couldn't conceal her outrage. In the cutthroat arena where talent is king, her reaction ignited a firestorm that no one saw coming. Earning just over $80,000 this season, Brown saw this staggering NBA-level offer to Clark, still just an NCAA player at the time, as a direct slap in the face to every woman in her league. Seething with frustration, she turned to social media to voice her shock and indignation. Her fingers furiously flew across the keyboard as she typed, so no other women's basketball player has come to mind in the last 7 years. In a follow-up tweet dripping with sarcasm, she added, instead of, supporting the women's league that already exists, let's do this in the middle of the NCAA tournament. Men are hilarious. But Brown didn't stop there. She took her grievances to a broader stage on the Gills Arena show, where she didn't hold back her criticism of the decision to offer such a lucrative contract to an amateur. When asked about the deal, she didn't mince words, so you offered the contract to a player who's not even in the WNBA? The Big Three doesn't run during the overseas season, so that doesn't make sense. She continued, her voice thick with frustration. You pretty much insulted all the European countries that welcome us with open arms, give us good money, love, and invaluable experience. By calling them dismal and dubious, some of those countries are beautiful and we're lucky to play there, so if you're going to say that, at least stand by it. But I don't think it holds up. As the sparks of controversy flew from Lexi Brown's pointed comments, it became evident that her anger was fueled by more than just righteous indignation. It hinted at deep envy. Despite earning over $300,000 during her 6 seasons in the WNBA, along with additional earnings overseas, Brown's reaction to Ice Cube's grand gesture towards Clark suggested a much deeper wound. Caitlin Clark had quickly become a household name, captivating audiences with her unmatched skills and magnetic charisma, the very qualities that made her the Taylor Swift of women's basketball. Her games were sellout events, broadcasted nationally, turning every court she stepped on into a grand stage. In contrast, despite her accomplishments, Lexi Brown hadn't achieved the same level of public recognition. Her tweets about Clark's offer brought attention to her name, but not in the way she had hoped. As the debate reached a fever pitch, Brown could never have anticipated how her outspoken stance would come back to haunt her once she stepped back onto the WNBA courts. Their first encounter on the court unfolded in the electric atmosphere of the Crypto.com arena when the Sparks faced off against the Indiana Fever. Caitlin Clark wasted no time asserting her dominance. Just 2 minutes into the game, she executed a flawless give and go with Melissa Smith, who found her cutting to the basket for an easy layup. Despite relentless double teams and physical harassment, Clark continued to dazzle, showcasing her exceptional playmaking abilities. She found Blee, who then connected with Boston under the rim for a wide-open layup, cutting the Sparks' lead to 7. But it was in the second quarter when the momentum shifted dramatically. The Sparks committed a critical turnover, and Blee seized the moment. She quickly found Clark, setting the Fever up for a fast break. Clark, driving in transition, dished the ball to Wallace, who drained a three-pointer from downtown, narrowing the Sparks' lead to just 3 points. On the next possession, Clark's brilliance shone through once again as she advanced the ball up the court and delivered a perfect pass to a cutting Binley, setting up another scoring opportunity for the Fever. Clark was tormenting the Sparks with her court vision, launching a near full-court pass to Wallace under the basket. Wallace faked out her defender and sank the shot, further chipping away at the Sparks' lead. By halftime, the Fever trailed 4-5-3-4, but Clark's impact was undeniable. She had been instrumental in the Fever's comeback, contributing 4 rebounds and 4 assists in the second quarter alone. In stark contrast, Lexi Brown had managed just 2 assists and 2 rebounds in the entire first half. As the third quarter unfolded, the Fever's momentum continued to build. Boston found Clark with the ball and set a perfect screen. Clark delivered a pinpoint pass to Boston, who executed a smooth layup. However, Clark's influence wasn't confined to the offensive end. After a turnover by her team, Clark hustled back on defense and managed to steal the ball. The Fever's fluid ball movement was on full display as they executed a perfect play, culminating in a Blee 18-footer to tie the game capping off an impressive 1-1-0 run. Clark's lethal ball handling skills continued to shine as she found a cutting Binley under the rim. Binley then faked out her defender and sank the layup. As the fourth quarter began, the intensity reached its peak. Boston found Clark and set a screen. And seeing the opportunity, Clark launched a three-pointer. It was blocked, but Boston quickly recovered the ball, forcing a layup and cutting the Sparks' lead to just 1 point. Clark quickly regrouped and found Boston again with a precise bounce pass from the top of the key. Boston drove aggressively, giving the Fever a 1-point lead. As Clark continued to advance the ball up the court, Blee faked a screen, allowing Clark to drive and deliver a flawless bounce pass to Blee, who finished with an easy layup, extending the Fever's lead to 5 points. With just 40 seconds left and the Fever's lead at a slim 2 points, Mitchell found Clark facing off one-on-one against Nurse once again. Clark put on a show, sending Nurse to the ground with a quick step back and launching another deep, cold-blooded three-pointer. Swish. The Fever surged to a 5-point lead. The Indiana Fever picked up their first win of the season, beating the Sparks 7-8, 7-3 after trailing by 11 points at halftime. The number 1 overall 2024 WNBA draft pick finished with an eye-popping stat line minus 11 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, and 4 steals, a near triple-double. Meanwhile, Lexi Brown, whose controversial comments had lit the fuse, finished with a meager 5 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists, along with the loss. But the story didn't end there. Their second head-to-head matchup would be the true test. And this time Brown realized she had made a grave mistake and had awakened a beast in Clark. From the opening tip, Clark was on a mission. She relocated to the top of the key where Wallace spotted her. Without hesitation, Clark drained a three-pointer, giving the Fever an early lead. As the game progressed, Clark's dynamic ability to drive and distribute became evident. She penetrated toward the rim, but seeing the defense collapse, kicked the ball out to Smith beyond the arc. Smith, wide open, launched a three-pointer to stop a 9-0 Sparks run. But despite her efforts, the Sparks ended the first quarter ahead, leading 2-4-1-5. As the second quarter began, Clark wasn't just making plays, she was orchestrating the entire offense and stepping up on defense. After a fast transition, she found Lexi Hull in the corner. Hull, recognizing Clark's shooting prowess, quickly returned the ball, and without hesitation, Clark launched and sank a catch and shoot three-pointer, narrowing the Sparks' lead to just 4 points. Wallace contributed to Clark's momentum by creating opportunities. Wallace set a solid screen for Clark, who drove aggressively and sank a smooth layup. Clark's defensive capabilities were also on full display. With less than a minute to go in the second quarter, she blocked a shot from behind, leading to a shot clock violation. By the end of a dominant first half, Clark had racked up 14 points and 5 assists, but the Fever were still down by 5 points. To start the third quarter, Caitlin Clark was once again the catalyst for the Fever. She initiated a smooth offensive sequence by finding Boston, who then passed the ball to Binley. Binley executed a skillful spin on her defender and drove down the baseline for a reverse layup. The Fever's defense was just as sharp, forcing a turnover, which allowed Clark to drive to the rim unopposed for an easy layup, narrowing the Sparks' lead to just 1 point. Moments later, after missing a three-pointer, Boston secured the rebound and found Clark waiting in the corner. Instead of attempting another three, Clark drove aggressively to the basket, completing another reverse layup. As the game intensified, Clark continued to orchestrate the Fever's offense with surgical precision. She brought the ball up the court and executed a perfect give and go with Boston. However, rather than forcing her way to the basket, Clark displayed her sharp court awareness by finding Mitchell beyond the arc, who then sank a wide-open three-pointer. Clark's synergy with Binley continued to exploit the Sparks' defense. Clark found Binley once more, setting her up for a smooth drive and an easy layup. Facing mounting pressure, the Sparks adjusted their strategy, opting to double-team Clark in an attempt to curb her influence, but even then she managed to find Smith, who dished to a cutting Mitchell. This sequence put the Fever ahead 5-0-4-6 midway through the third quarter. However, the game's momentum shifted as the Fever momentarily let their guard down, and the Sparks capitalized on this lapse, orchestrating a 1-1-1-0 run that dramatically flipped the script. By the end of the quarter, the Sparks had regained control, leading by 4 points. Despite the Sparks ending the third quarter on a run, they committed a crucial turnover early in the fourth, thanks to a steal by Clark. She then turned on the Jets and went coast to coast, but despite her effort, she missed the layup. However, Boston was right there to clean it up, getting fouled in the process and heading to the line. Down by 4 points, Boston set a screen for Clark, who then launched another three-pointer from the top of the key, bringing the Fever within just 1 point of the Sparks. On the defensive end, Clark continued to shine. Brink attempted to lob the ball, but Clark was there to deny it. The pick and roll between Boston and Clark had been effective all game, and the Sparks were struggling to contain it. Boston found Clark, set a screen, and rolled to the rim, where Clark found her for another drive that resulted in a basket, further tightening the game. With only 20 seconds left, Clark, despite being doubled, managed to find Boston. Boston took a step back and sank a crucial three-pointer, cutting the Sparks' lead to just 5 points. As the game neared its end, Clark capped off her incredible performance with a drive to the rim for a layup. Although the Fever ultimately fell short, with the Sparks taking the win 8-8-8-2, Clark's performance was nothing short of extraordinary. She dropped 30 points, grabbed 5 rebounds, and dished out 6 assists. Lexi Brown's initial comments had ignited a wildfire, but it was Caitlin Clark's on-court performances that delivered the final scorching word. Even in defeat, a star's light can shine the brightest. And as always, if you enjoyed this intense breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more riveting basketball stories and analyses. Stay tuned for more. We'll catch you in the next video.